Well, hello everybody. How are you doing? I hope everyone's keeping well. I hope everyone's had a good weekend. And welcome back to Dragonborn Industries. Well, I put it to a vote if we were going to do some some Final Fantasy miniatures or some Resident Evil miniatures. And right on the button, right at 1 minute to, it went to 50-50. So I'm doing some Resident Evil ones. Two little intros ready, and here we go. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope the levels aren't too loud or too quiet. But yeah, we're going to do some Resident Evil painting. Hello, Geeky. Hello, Fluffy. I hope everyone has had a good weekend. It's been lovely weather down here in the corn. And I need to decide which miniature we're going to attack. So we've got Chris, Barry, Rebecca, and Jill, which we are looking at one of those, hopefully completed tonight. So, grab a paint palette there, and let's have a look at which one we want to do. Does anybody want to see anything in particular? Would they like to see Jill, Chris, Barry, or Rebecca? Or is it just a crapshoot of, you know what, let's just paint a mini and see which one we get? That is the four just there. Whoop. So we can go whichever one people want to do. And we will do some Final Fantasy minis another night. So 1 to 5 each, and roll a chunk. Ooh, I like that. Geeky's all over it. Look at that. We have one of our chunks here. Let's go with that. So 1 to 5 is Chris. 6 to 10 would be Jill. 11 to 15, Rebecca, and 19 to 20, 16 to 20 would be Barry. We have, that's a 20. Nah, fucking 20. Barry it is. So, let's get this all underway. And I'm going to bring up some references. Right, so let's bring up a reference for Barry Burton. How's the music volume for everybody? Is that too loud? Or is that all right? Is it too quiet? Let me know. So, we've got those grey trousers. We've got that cream shirt that we worked on last time. We've got that nice flesh tone. We've got dark hair. His magnum is mostly silver. And he's got some brown on his boots, but nothing overly too much. So it shouldn't actually be too hard. We got most of the priming done. Most of the base painting done the other week. I need to get some... No, the brown's on there. I haven't missed a thing. The Stars logo on the shoulder needs doing, because they do actually have on their shoulders... which I will put back in the mini stand and try and show you better. Some stars emblems. I don't think you're going to see that. However, I may have to move that light because that is rather blocked by my camera. So give me 2 seconds, guys. Just going to move this light hopefully somewhere a bit more. Let's see if that shows it up better. There we go. A little bit of better lighting on that. We could always do with some more. Because as we show this off, as we go through it, we do want it to be seen on camera at least. This is what you get when you wait till the last minute to see which one you're doing. And then, there we go, that should probably be about right. Okay, so, let's have a look at where we're going to go in and layer up. So we've got that belt, that's going to need some silver, but that's going to be at the end. The pouch is brown, so we can layer that up in a minute. Yeah, I guess we are going to go into some skin tones. Or actually, I need to get that hair done as well, actually. So, let's take those off because they're just going to be in the way. I really like Barry in the games. Totally not bothered that are the Walking Dead shambling around. Yeah, Barry was so funny because I liked that. Obviously, he's Chris's partner, but also like this. He knows about Wesker, and I think it's funny that as the game progresses, he obviously like begins to feel bad, and if you play as Chris, you don't overly see him that often. But if you play as Jill, which I always did as a kid, and I now play as Chris quite a bit because better vitality but less items, he comes in everywhere. You can like take pot shots at things like the I think it's Plant 42. Keep running in and out of the room, take pot shots, running out of the room back in, and then he comes in with a flamethrower and just kills it for you. It's amazing. And you find him in the shack outside. I love it. I like Barry. I like him a lot. So, I'm going to take some Chaos Black and I'm going to take some Orc Grey. I'm going to mix those together to begin with, just so I can get a dark grey, and I'm just going to put that onto his hair. I don't want it to be black because it's kind of like a darkish black to a brown, but I can get a better effect of black with a very dark grey. So that's what I'm going to be doing first, just to say that that area is done. I kind of want to get Resident Evil on the Switch, and I'm so tempted to stream it. That's another night of the week. I'd have to do something. It's hard enough keeping up with content as it is. Right, so this is the kind of colour that we're going to go for. This one just here. It's quite dark. It's a little bit bluish, but that's fine because we're going to be also putting in some browns into that shortly. So I'm going to grab my big old nerd goggles. In we go. I'm going to grab our artificer brush. That one over there. It is watered down. It's not quite as thin as milk. It's a little bit thicker than that because I'm doing a base layer from the top. And I also want to get his beard, but the trouble here is that we're going to have to blend between skin and beard, and the beard needs to be quite brown. So does the hair, but I'm using a grey as a base because he obviously has those grey hairs that poke through as well, and we get a bit of colour dynamic to the hair that way. So what's everybody up to tonight? What's everybody been up to for the weekend? Oh, it's all been excitement and laughs. At some point I will have to go to bigger magnifying glasses just to make sure we get absolutely everywhere perfectly. So I'm just going to kiss Barry here with the brush. Little smooch. Little taps with the tip. Because I want to be able to blend his beard up into his skin. But again, I want that grey undercoat on there to work the browns up from. And this is where having the glasses really does make a difference. If I was trying to do this with my naked eye, I just would struggle. Quite something rotten. So, here we go. Let's try and get central on the board so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then we're going to come up. And we're just kissing. Kissing Barry. Little bit of beard. Bring it up past his ear and up into his hairline. And there's a reason I'm doing this bit now. I'm going to be putting in his eyes in a second, and then I'm going to be layering up a lot of the other stuff for the flesh. Going to be painting Fallout Minis once I finish some work. Dude, it is 8:15 on a Sunday night. Stop working! Okay, so right now it is literally just this kind of greyish blue that we have on the hair. I'm going to have to move that light again, aren't I? This is what you get. Right in front of the screen. But that's what we get. Let's see if we can get it to stand up a bit taller. Because what I need it is behind the camera realistically, because lighting makes all the difference for showing you guys at home what we're doing. Let's try that. There we go. You should hopefully just be able to see ever so thin that beard on there. But I start with a lot of browns for my skins. So I use oak brown or rhinox hide or Catachan flesh, depending on which way I want to go with the flesh tones and how dark or light I need them to be. For Barry, who is Caucasian, I'm starting with oak brown, actually. And now I'm going to go to my biggest magnifying glasses, which are crazy powerful. I know, Body Nightmare at the moment, second round of redundancies going on and possibly a third on the way. I'm not at risk at the moment, but affects the whole business. Yeah, man, that sucks. That's really awful, and I hope that you are okay. It's never fun when those things come around. So, we're going to grab some matte white, or some lawful white it's called, from the Army Painter. And we're going to grab little bits of that. And it's the tiniest amount. I mean, that tiny little white speck on that brown is all I'm grabbing, because I now need one of my very, very fine brushes, which is about yay thin. Tiny bit of water. I'm going to load the tip up ever so slightly. I'm going to come in real close. I'm just going to try and paint the white into the eyes. Now, the reason I'm doing this now, because when I make a mistake and I go too far with the white or the pupil, I can then just paint back in the darker colour around the eye. And that way, I get a nice eye shape without them being these crazy deer in a headlight eyes. Right, so we can definitely see that on one of them I have gone way too far, but that's fine, because we can quite literally go back in with our oak brown and tidy that up now, before we get to the point where there is other layers of skin tones on there, or anything that we can't necessarily tidy up without making a big impact. So I'm going to take our fine brush, make sure it's dried off, make sure it's got a nice sharp point. It's mildly watered down, not massively. And again, I'm only taking a little bit, and we're just going to paint back in the dark rings around the eye. And I'm just going to use the table to steady my hand. Sometimes if you go too thin, it can remain very watery, and it will just go over the rest of the eye, but that's not what we want. And keep it somewhat thicker. And that's how small those eyes are. The one on the right, from the camera's point of view, is actually the size that we need. So I need to take the left one down just a little bit further so it's not looking like they're squinting with one eye. Okay, so just going to make sure that we can get in there again. There it is. And that brown is actually going to be left very brown around the eyes, simply because if we can put a ring around the eyes, it adds definition to them, and they really pop out of the mini without being too distracting or wrong. It's kind of hard to explain, but I like them in that way. It suits my paint schemes and my painting. Okay, so now that we've got the eyes on, we're going to go in and we're going to start layering up the flesh. So for that, I'm going to grab some of my favourite Caucasian flesh tones. Come from Citadel, and they quite literally are the flesh tones. So Cadian flesh is one of them, and we've got Kislev flesh. We've got some white up here to mix between them, and we started with the oak brown. So I'm going to just ever so slightly, the Kazachan brown is a little bit lighter. I'm just going to add some highlights in now just to catch some areas. I'm going to go back to the Artificer brush. And we are going to water that down a little bit. So let's just grab this one here. Right, so let's grab Kazachan flesh. What I'm looking for here is tops of muscles, tops of arms, tops of fingers, tops of the forehead, anywhere where the light's going to be hitting, and that we're going to want to put the next layer of flesh tone on in a brighter way. We want to try and leave anywhere that is recessed, so like crux of the arm, like the elbow there, and bits between wrist and hand. Anywhere there's like a recess, we want to leave that very, very brown. And then we're going to let that essentially be our wash rather than using a wash on our mini. Because most people that I know, most people that know me know that I like to go for paint jobs without washes. I will use them every now and again, but I'm just not that good with them. And I'm messy with them, so I try and go for a more cartoon layer of stuff. Oh, we do have a glove on there, actually, that I hadn't noticed. So I will go back in with my grey-blue, and I will add that to those gloves. Although the black leather on... Yeah, no, I'm going to go back in there with that. And I'm going to work my way up to a darker black from there. So, we're still just grabbing little bits of the arm right now with that Kazachan flesh. And again, I'm just almost giving myself a paint by numbers, highlighting quite thickly those higher ridges, so that when I come back in, I can see exactly where I need to be and exactly where I need to leave alone. So we need to come into the head. All of that forehead needs it. Hey, Velvet, how you doing? Welcome to the show. We're just painting up some Resident Evil minis because the vote went to 50-50. So I had to choose, and this is what I went with because I need to get them done. Currently, we're working on Barry Burton, who rolled a dice, and that's who has decided. How are you doing? I hope your weekend was good. Some people here are working. Yeah, I'll show you in a second. Let me just finish putting on a second layer of brown to this face, and then we'll show you where we are at. So, let's take off the nerd goggles. We have the base layers are all done, and we have that kind of like bluey grey on the trousers, and we're going to layer up and down from there with colours. We've got the eyes in place ready for detailing. We've used a very rich dark brown for the base of the skin, and I'm using Catachan flesh to highlight that at the moment before I go in with my Cadian flesh tones. And we've used that same blue-grey on the hair, which we're then going to turn to brown shortly. I need to go in and put the gloves on because we have these black leather gloves on our reference picture, which is quite nice to have a reference picture, because usually when I'm painting stuff, if I'm painting Warhammer or if I'm painting D&D minis, although we had no colour schemes in mind, we are still sort of going rogue with it. So at this point, it's quite fun to be, yeah, a little bit controlled and a little bit more following the picture. And I think I said earlier it was paint by numbers. How's your weekend been? Has it been exciting? Has it been good? Or has it been just eat, sleep, repeat? We had lovely weather down here. It's been amazing. Took the kids to a birthday party today. It's really nice. Right, work laptops off, kettlers on, and wet palette is open. Boom, geeky, get those paints out. Get on with those Fallout minis. Which Fallout minis are you painting? I presume they're from Mephistus Games, but I mean, which particular ones? Are you painting anything tonight, Velvet? Or are you just on chill mode? Oh, is that playlist over? So it is. Right, let's find a different playlist. So let's go with Dystopian City. I've not listened through that one in a while. Here we go. Well, we try and get on. So I'm pulling that pigment, again, from the base of the knuckle up to the top of the wrist on the same way we did with VV the other night, just so that pigment goes up rather than down and we get a thicker colour where light would be hitting. Obviously, for some areas inside the gloves, it's hard to do that. We try our best to get in on that as well. It's got a watch on there. I'm going to do the watch strap in black as well, because it's nice and easy, and then I will change the face of the watch to something else. I think that way it'll pop right off the mini when we get those flesh tones in place. So, I keep painting over here, so let's move the camera, shall we? Let's go with... Boop, boop. Whoop, wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. There we go. Let's get my Goblin t-shirt in the mix. Ooh, and my messy workstation. There we go. And then we can just bring Barry up like so. Show him off there. That'll work out just fine. Let's get this watch painted up then. And again, I'm pulling that pigment from what would be the back of the watch, the bottom of the wrist, up to the front where the face is. So we've got that nice, thick pigment on the bit that everyone's going to be looking at rather than anywhere else. Okay. Stars logo. Once more, I'm going to go in with the same bluish grey black. I am going to thin it down a little bit more, just so it sits in there really nice as the backing for the stars logos. And then I will do the white and the yellow when we get to detailing. I think so far for the shirt, when we did that base layer, we did a necrotic flesh, actually, and then we were going to pull it up to a skeleton bone and a white for the highlights on it. So we've got the brown on those boots there. We've got the trousers. We've got the belt. We've got the holster. The gun will be done last because we're pretty much just going to hit that up with highlights of silver. I'm going to put a black line on his back, on his tactical vest, because it stands out as a high area, and it'd be quite cool to give that a different color, so we can change the dynamics of the Mini from different sides. Okay, so that should be all the main colors based up. What we can do now is actually go around the flesh and go up through Arcadian flesh tones. So we're going to take Arcadian flesh, and that's the next one we are going to be working on. So I'm going to grab that window just there on my computer. There we go. Right. Dip, 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 dip. Hopefully, again, the music's not too loud, not too quiet. We're going to have peaks and troughs, just as I'm still going through playlists and putting together stuff for Starfinder, which hopefully we've got a meeting with this week with some of the players to set the date and get ready to go live, which is going to be amazing. We're hoping to do it by the end of October. We hope to be up and running and putting out some Monday night Starfinder for you all, which I'm very, very, very excited to get to running. So I've got Arcadian Flesh Tone. I've watered it down quite a bit, and I'm just going to find those highest muscle striations, and I'm just going to put a line on each one so I know where I'm painting and what I need to blend. And to blend, I will be doing a fair amount of feathering, which is where we take water and then we thin it back down once the paint is on the miniature. At this point, I'm not too bothered about pulling the pigment in directions, because this is going to be a mid layer, essentially. We just want to get this on, and then we can get it blended as well. So quite a beefy shoulder there. So what you should be able to see is that I'm, again, painting patches almost. And these are where like the muscles are showing through. And this is how I start to layer up skin tones. Again, I will leave like crooks of arms free and leave those as the base color, and then work our way back to those highest points using either a mixed down version of the Arcadian flesh that's white mixed into it, or I will use the next layer, which will be Kislev flesh, and then whiten that one down or up even. But we also want to make sure we get those fingers, because he's wearing fingerless gloves. And they're going to be quite a prominent area when people are looking at the minis. They're going to be looking at the pistol. They're going to be looking at the weaponry of these, especially for those of us who played the game. I know that Barry carried around a 45 Magnum, which was badass. That's his signature weapon. Has everybody started celebrating Halloween yet? We did in House Dragonborn. It's been great. We started with a feast last night, and I loved it. Stuffed lentil pumpkins. We had cake. We had so much junk. Pumpkin pie. Mwah. We do love Halloween here. So, at this point, I'm just thinning down some areas that have blended into the brown a little bit. And we're just touching the brush to areas. Just filling out any holes, getting it nice and even for the first layer. And just finding those small little recesses that we can leave alone. So that's the base tone of the flesh that we want to start working our way up from. You should be able to see, like, between the muscles, I've left it quite thin so that that brown pokes through. That's what we want. The face is going to be the most important part because that's where, again, where everybody's going to be looking, but we're going to be layering that up when we get to it. So I'll do the arms first, do those gloves, do those hands, and then we'll start getting the face loaded up with paint. So, let's grab the other arm and those biceps on Barry. And if the brush becomes too wet and it's going to start pushing it around too much, then I will clear it off and then go again. And just trying to stabilize my hands as much as I can because I've got real shaky shakes. Along with, tied in with dyspraxia, which is fantastic for hand-eye coordination. But hey, here we are, we're doing it. Starting to believe. It's got a pretty good bit of muscle underneath that arm there as well. That it's kind of hard to get to, but we're gonna try. I think I'm just gonna do light little pulls with the brush, just little bit by little bit, just trying to get to the center underneath the arm, so that we don't leave leave a brown stripe going down the inside of his arm. I want to make sure that we get everywhere. Okay, we've got the forearm. We've got some lovely striations down his left arm, which is actually really kind of cool to work on. Especially around the elbow, there's like little muscles and tendons that you can see that they've put on. That's really fun. Oh, I went too far, so we're going to have to pull some of that back. Okay, we can just wet our brush, thin it out in those browner areas, and then go again on a different area until that bit's dry. Let's grab on that, and then we can go in like so. We've got like a thumb poking out right there. We've got the start of a finger. T-Made and Imgur password Imgur password reset. Let's see if this works. Fallout Mini progress. Oh, nice. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah! That's awesome. Oh, I love that power armor one. Of the green skin on the mute. Very, very cool, Geeky. Very cool. So how many of those have you got? Is it all those ones there in that picture, or have you got, like Hero Quest, thousands to do? And again, we're trying to get under the arm there just to not have that brown stripe on the inside. We're trying to get everywhere painted on Mr. Barry Burton. Okay, so you think I'd be going onto the face flesh right now, but we're not. We're going to go back to our stupidly powerful magnifying glasses, and we're about to paint the pupils in. We're doing this now so that if we make a mistake, we can paint over those without ruining the rest of the face. Hello, Miss Lounge. Oh, is it Turkey Day, is it? Is that where you select your Thanksgiving turkeys? Or is that where... Because Thanksgiving's not till November, right? It is Halloween first. But these are the powerful magnifying glass. They're pretty strong. There they are. Whoop. And we're going to find a... No, Canada is now. Oh, really? There you go, me lumping you in with the Americans. Bad me. I apologize. So I'm going to put the pupils in now. And then I can also do the light reflections on the eyes now. And then we can work on the rest of the flesh tone. Whee, I can drop my paintbrush. So, going to make sure that point is nice and thin. We're going to put a little dollop on the end of the paintbrush. I'm going to pull it back out of the paint to get rid of any bulbous areas of paint. I find that if I try and make them boz-eyed, I tend to end up with them with straight eyes. So that is usually my cat-candid technique. However, we'll see how this one turns out. Boo hiss. So what are you up to today then? So I don't like the position of that eye. It's always the way. So I'm just going to come back in. I'm going to try and get rid of that one on the left. As I went too boz-eyed, but I might be able to go in there with some white, actually, because it's already dried off. Cooking and feeding everyone, then Infintantum Arcanum Show. Oh, I hadn't even heard of that. So much so I couldn't even say it. Is that, wait, is that one of yours, or is that, am I being that dense that right now I've forgotten everything, or the name of your actual show? Because I will feel like a right dick if that's the case. I feel really bad. So is that the one in the past, or is that the one in the present day? Hello, Dragon Skull. Welcome to the show. We're trying to paint the eyes in now before we go in and do the rest of the flesh. But we might have to paint over this one and go again. Yeah. It's all going well. So I'm going to put a heavy amount of water into that eye just to wash it off. I'm going to soak up the excess paint we've just added in. Probably take a dry brush now and just make sure we get all of that out of there before we move on, because we need to make sure this is dry, or else painting the pupils is almost a pointless endeavor. Infinitum is passed. Okay, cool. I think campaign 2 was the one that we started on, was the one present, or the future timeline, which is on my list of things to catch up on this week, actually. So hopefully by Friday I will be able to tell you about the next couple of episodes and where we're at. Right, we're going in again. And once more, we don't like it. Ah. It's in the perfect place, but it's a little thin. So we have to go back in again, and this is the dangerous bit. The second eye is always a pain in the ass. It's worse, however, when your second eye starts to look better than your first eye. Okay. Absalom Dak, welcome to the show. We are painting up a Resident Evil miniature. We're painting up Barry Burton. I'm currently fighting the eyes at the moment. I did the first one, what I thought was perfect. Then I went and did the second one 3 times. And now I think the second one's better than the first one. So I'm going back into the first one again. And hoping to God I don't fuck it up. What are you up to tonight, Absalom? Oh, making him ginger. We're going to make him brown to ginger. He's got mostly brown hair in the reference photo that I'm doing, and for what I sort of remember from the game. So that's what we're going to go with. But I'm putting some grey down first, because I want to get some like grey blends of age in there, because Barry was sort of like the older member on the team, I found. Oh, what is going on here? What was that? Hey, Geeky! Whoop, whoop! Month 3. Thank you so much. Greatly, greatly appreciate that. So, what I've actually done, but memory is a fickle friend. Also, I've missed something there. In my mind, from 30 odd years ago, he was redhead. Yeah, so actually, you're not wrong. I'm pretty sure that both Chris and Barry at some point have been depicted with redhead, because I had a Chris Redfield action figure that was official, like proper like Japanese box and everything that I got from like Forbidden Planet when it was like first a thing, and he had ginger hair, and I remember Barry had the exact same color hair, and I think there is artwork of Barry with ginger hair. I think in the remaster they did him a bit more brown because, you know, nobody likes this orange carrot top. But, yeah, I think that's kind of what they did. I will show you guys where we're at with the eyes. So I went a different route. I don't even know if you'll be able to see this at this point. We managed to get the pupils a lot thinner. No, you're never going to see that. But they're nice and thin. I'm going to go back in now to my oak brown, paint back around the eyes where I've managed to mess up a little bit of the pupils going onto the black. And then that's the eyes done, and we can layer up the rest of the face flesh in a very easy way now without having to worry about messing them up later. Wow! Dragon Skull! Boo, 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 boo. Thank you so much. That's super awesome. And I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for that Amazon Prime sub. Are you guys on, by the way, TikTok, on Twitch as a website or as the app? Because I found that I couldn't do that through the app to other channels. I had to do it through the website or through OBS, which was really weird. I don't know why the Twitch app is not as good as it should be for a company that probably makes way more money than anybody on its platform. Website, yeah. I think me and Fluff both found that we had to use the website to get it. So what I'm doing here is the black of the pupil that went down onto the cheekbone is just a little too strong and in a recessed area. And I'm just trying to cover that up with a little bit of the same brown, but without it being too thin or too thick. And it's actually proving to be a bit of a challenge. I may have to attack that bottom bit of the eye with a tiny bit of white and then go over it again. Okay, so there we go. We got it. And in trying to tidy up the eye, I'm hoping I haven't just taken the pupil off. No, we still got it. We still got it. We still got it. Oh, that was scary. That'd have been sod's law, wouldn't it? Okay. So we're going to grab our Cadian flesh tone once more, and we are going to use the wrong brush to put it in our palette. It's nothing like using your fine detail brushes to scoop paint out of a Citadel pot. Clever boy. Water that down ever so slightly. I don't need to do much, just enough. And then I'm going to wash the brush off again. And then I'm going to reload it with that watered down paint, but without there being too much water behind the bristles. What I might actually do is have a sip of water while I'm here. There we go. So, let's go in. We've got that brush. We're going to find Arcadian Flesh Tone. And again, this is the amount that I'm using. It is minuscule on that brush. And we just kind of come in on those higher areas. So we definitively want forehead to be completely covered. You might want to leave a dark line beneath the hairline. I'm just doing tiny little taps and downstrokes to apply that pigment to the mini. My brother got me a Klingon mug for my birthday, but I'm not sure if I can drink out of it. So, I'm now going to try and work out whether that's a joke and the you're going to have to cling on to the mug, or the drink's going to stick in there and it's like the Klingon toilet paper. Or if that's a serious comment. And if it's a serious comment, if it's a collectible, dude, yeah, keep hold of it. I probably wouldn't tarnish it. Especially with my coffee habits. No, it's a real statement. I have a Wharf mug you can't drink out of. Oh, is it like a really odd shape? The because of the forehead. And have they done that from the drinking point of the mug? Or is it because it's a collectible and you can't drink out of it? Or it's made out of one of the weapons? Because you're not Klingon. I mean, I don't mean to assume, Absalom, but I'm going to assume that you aren't a Klingon. Yes, I think it's more to do with poisonous glazes. Oh! Have they made it? Or is it that's just what makes a Klingon drink is all the poisonous glazes? I was saying that, actually. Klingon, as in the language Klingon, is how I imagine draconic languages in D&D. I imagine that, like, guttural to be that way. So, the points that I'm getting with the skin tone here are the forehead, tops of the cheekbones. We're coming down this bit here and onto some of the cheeks. We're going to get the bridge of the nose. And possibly the side where the side of the nostrils are. We are going to get some of those ears on both sides. We don't need to do massive amounts, to be honest. It's almost like putting a face mask on them. But I'm trying to leave dark rings around the eyes. We also need to try and blend that skin into the beard. I'm also trying to leave dark brown around the ridge of the nose, leading down towards the mouth, because I find it just defines the face a little bit better. It helps the nose stick out a bit more. I find many voices in D&D are cliched now. I hear the same voices for orcs today I was using almost 40 years ago. Kobolds are even worse. It's like they're all educated in Sesame Street level, a whole race of ignorant thickos. Well, I mean, yeah, I agree. We do like a trope. And what's interesting, I find, is obviously like we have a society where we obviously want to be inclusive and we obviously want to do things that aren't going to offend people, but at the same time, those races were based off things originally. We get into this like really deep conversation where people are like, well, when did it become like mocking them or stereotyping? And it's really interesting because obviously they're a fantasy race, like orcs and stuff like that. And I think a lot of the voices now are that because people don't want to offend somebody else by putting like, you know, a Caribbean accent over the top of an orc and then making them all, you know, any silly ones Jar Jar Binks or anything. And it's like, yeah, it's this really kind of like minefield of stuff. I know that I certainly, like, my goblins all tend to be like, and they're kind of like Donnie from the Wild Thornberrys, whereas like kobolds are more like, yes. But I mean, they do have a low inch stat, so it's all very interesting that, like, yeah, there could be a load of thickos, but when you play one as a character, they might be the smart one. Or you can throw one out and be like, oh, hello, and it could be like well educated and stuff. There's so much that we can do, but people tend to have their go-tos, really. So yeah, I completely get that. That's not Donnie, that's Pingu. I always loved, but I'm here for it either way. I always really loved Pingu's dad, who would always was like, God, I haven't seen Pingu in years, and I've got kids. So I'm just grabbing the ears right now. Well, actually, one of our kids has to watch Morph today. I have a Pingu t-shirt. Nice. Oh, sorry. Cool. It's a metal version of him. Share the picture. Do it on Instagram. Slipknot. Slipknot. I love it. Right, we're trying to grab the ears and the neck at this point. And again, I'm trying to keep it nice and thin. Just so I can get in there and pull the pigments in the right directions without going into my breakup lines and my definition that I like to have between areas of darkness without using a wash. I should also point out Velvet, who's not here that often. This is a space where, like, if you've got Instagram accounts, your own Twitches and stuff like that, you absolutely can share your stuff here in the chat. Our community is amazing. They always tend to, like, go check people out. And most of them are all amazing creators in their own right. I think everybody here in chat right now has their own little areas. It's amazing. There's that adventure with Meepo in Kobold, and everyone uses the same voice for him. Yeah, always wanted to play him as a highly educated snob. Yeah. There's a really good one in High Rollers where they find a kobold Dunamancy wizard, and yeah, he plays him perfectly because he's like, no, I will do my own thing. And he's this like snooty wizard who's just like, yes, but very high intelligence, low wisdom kind of thing. So yeah, Velvet, if you've got links to your own account and stuff, feel free to share them here in chat. There you go. So, I just need to smooth out some of the areas on the face a little bit better. And then we can move on to the next area of this mini, which is going to be to try and get the beard and the hair also coloured up. One cheekbone is a little stronger than the other. So, there you go, everyone's on it. It's just the same handle on Insta as here. There you go. Feel free to stick links in or anything else you need to do, especially if you've got your own Twitch or your own stuff. I know that you do a lot of live on Instagram. So yeah, so far, this is the first layer of the actual flesh tone on Barry. I'm now going to go in and try and make the beard hair and the hair a bit more brown. And there's two ways I'm going to achieve this. One is to take that same grey we had earlier, and we are going to put some of that in a separate area in the palette. I'm then going to take some of our oak brown, and I'm going to start mixing those together. It'll probably be more brown. There you go. Let's share the hobby love. Oh, there you go. Velvet, I also know that obviously Miniature Noodles is down in my neck of the woods. So are you close by as well, or are you a bit further up? You don't obviously have to give a location or anything, or you can tell me to shut up. I'm just making conversation. But I know that you do quite a bit with Leah. I didn't know if you were close by. So we've got this greyish brown going on here. This is our next layer, and I really want to water this down. Oh, very, very far away. Fair enough. So I'm almost making this a wash, but it's not quite that thin. It should hopefully be highly pigmented. We're going to take our Artificer brush, adjust my glasses, and then I'm going to knock some of that back off. And we're almost doing a shade here, but we're trying to apply it to everywhere on the hair. And then I'm going to be bringing it up the beard and just touching the very bases of those cheeks and the chin. So Dragon School Studios, Velvet, is a friend of mine that I met through Band of Badgers. And dude is an insanely cool painter. Has a love for orcs and is currently doing Orktober. We've done painting on the Great British Brush Off together and on a few of their own shows. And here on Dragonborn Industries. So yeah, we've worked together a little bit. They took part in episode 14 of Painting Up the Monster Manual with the Mist Lounge, who is also somebody we met through Instagram and through here on the channel. And they have their own channel where they are running 2 concurrent campaigns for D&D that affect each other. So they're placed in one world at 2 different times in that world, and both campaigns are having an outcome effect on the other one. And I'm due to start catching up on that show this week, so I'm really looking forward to that. And at this point, so now I've got the beard slightly shaded in that brown, I am starting to push some of that brown up onto the lower bit of the cheek. Geeky Phoenix is an awesome dude here in chat who got in touch with me a while ago, and we've done some work for some dice for them, and I'm very, very pleased to have met them, and they've become a moderator on the channel because they're just one of the nicest people I've ever met. And yeah, Fluffy here in chat, if she's still about, is my wife, who often comes on the show, is my sound engineer and is my muse. Oh, shucks. Well, Geeky, you've earned it. Everybody so far in the community has been amazing, and I know that, like, especially on, like, Thursdays during the day for Painting Up the Monster Manual and for all the other things that we do here on the channel, you guys are just on it all the time, and I frickin' love you for it. And yeah, we try and build up a nice small community. We've got some really great people in chat. We're all quite open about mental health because I'm trying to offer like a safe place for people like me who have complex PTSD or struggle with depression and all the other kind of goodness that comes with being a human being, as much as it sucks. And yeah, that's what you're gonna get here, Velvet. And hopefully we can have a good time. We do giveaways every now and again, where you can win dice, minis, this, that, and the other. And hopefully soon we'll have some more scheduled content in terms of story-based shows, which I am very, very excited about. Oh, Absalom! I am so sorry. Absalom is part of our community and came in a while ago. And actually is phenomenal with maps, and I'm hoping that we can do a show soon. They've got a nice little channel where they talk about different games that they played. They play different video games on there as well. I think they're currently looking to run a Marvel campaign, I believe it was, we were last chatting about. And yeah, they're, again, just a genuinely lovely person that, yeah, is always a pleasure to have here in chat, or always a pleasure to get to know. We have Warrior Prince 3D usually. My friend Richard again met through the badges. And we do painting up the monster manual on a Thursday. And yeah. There are more members of the community, but these are the ones here right now, I believe. And if I've missed anybody out, I am terribly sorry. Just checking in the back of users in chat. Oh, Lady Jane Lynn, it's part of Miss Lounge's campaign. Let's see who else is here. Yeah, I think out of everybody that I actually have spoken to or have had conversations with. So Absalom, I've been working on my own villains. I could run several campaigns without using a single Marvel character, but I'm not sure the players would want that. Oh, Velvet, no worries. Thank you so much for coming into chat. I hope that you have a fantastic week. And I'm sure that I'll see you around on Instagram. Have a great night, and may the dice gods be ever in your favour. But everybody else, Barry is coming along nicely. So what I've been doing is just touching up some of these skin areas, and then we are pulling brown through the hair. And again, we've done this quite thin because we want it to sit in those recesses, almost like a shade or a wash. We pulled it up onto the cheekbones ever so slightly to give it a fade. And then we're going to go in and layer up the hair, basically, with many different colours. So, we are going to go grab some browns. We're going to want... You know what, Absalom, let's put a little bit of the ginge back into Barry, shall we? Grab some XV88. We're going to grab some... How close is Dryad Brown to it? Get this mixed up and have a look. Oh, it's not that close yet. We're going to grab some Dryad and some XV88. And I'm going to do these tiny little lines. There you go. So we've got the sort of a tan and a leathery-ish brown. So, let's grab... We're going to use the Artificer again. We're also going to change down our glasses because there's a reason I'm struggling to see really far away. I've still got them on the max magnification. So I'm actually going to start with the brighter tone. And with that, we're going to start on the crown. And I'm trying to pull in the direction of the hair. So at this point, it's down towards the back. We're just trying to hit all of those top lines and directions. Down near the bottom there, I am going to have to pull up. And I'm almost doing the line before the paintbrush touches the mini. That way I get these nice thin lines. And I can just bring it in slowly. And I get a lot more control there. And I think when I first applied this technique for hair, it looked so messy, and I was like, what? I don't know what I'm doing. And it wasn't until like the second or third layer that I was like, oh, this is a thing. The mustache is going to be hard because it's nice and thin around the top lip, but I think we'll get it, and I think it will be just fine. Again, we're just trying to paint those lines in. We don't want it to be too wet, but we do need it to be thin. We want this to be a build-up. So I'm going to now take the second colour, that Dryad Brown, and again, we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to try and paint between those lines, but if we end up going over some, it's fine, because that's what hair doth do. I think this might be harder than the eyes. I used to dry brush hair, but I find that I don't get the tones that I want anymore. Or the direction. Again, we need to go in over that mustache because we don't want to leave it just on its brightest colours. We do want to put in some definition and detail. Am I doing his freckles? Ooh, I don't know if I've got the balls. Certainly not yet. Maybe, if I feel cocky at the end of painting it up. So we're going to go back in with the XV88 once more. We're going to pick out some top strands. And then certainly keep that directional flow of his hair being pushed back. Ian, I need to head out. I'll catch up with you tomorrow. No worries, bud. Dragon Skull, we'll see you again soon. Have a great night. I hope you have a good week at work. Hope your weekend's been great. And same again. May the dice gods be ever in your favour, my friend. I'm sure we will chat in our group soon. So this is where we're at with the beard and the hair. Try and get that to focus. So we're getting those browns and tans to line up and do what we need to do. What we're also going to do is we're going to go back into our greys. And guess what? We're now going to put these in very thin lines in certain places, especially on that beard. And this will just help blend a lot of that in. And again, it's only little bits here and there. It's not crazy amounts, but just enough to look like he's aging a bit. Oof. Give him that salt and pepper hair and then knock him off the stand. So, let's have a look at that. That's the beard mostly done. We can go in and add some whites. But for now, I want to start getting the skin tones laid up. Then I want to work on his clothing. There we go. So, let's grab now the question is, do I want... Yeah, let's go for Kislev Flesh. Thank you very much, Absalom. I was saying this the other night when I was painting up Vivi. It's really nice to actually sit down and just focus on one rather than either an army or a set paint scheme. Like, this is like... The colours are predetermined. I have the reference. We know the game. I have the art. So this is nice for me to just sit down, relax, and do something that I enjoy. And one of the things that I wanted to do getting into mini painting was paint minis like Star Wars and Resident Evil and board game stuff that we know what they look like. And then I went down the deep dark road of D&D and Warhammer. And although I love those things, I do enjoy knowing what the final vision is before I've set off on the journey. So I'm taking Kislev Flesh. This is a very, very light tone. And I'm applying this to the highest points of the mini, but I probably won't do it to the lower points. I'm going to be quite sparing with my pools and my pigment. And I will layer this up very slowly so that we can see the difference from those higher areas. And we know where to highlight next. Hopefully we'll get some translucence and some blending. But we will see. And again, we're just applying the tip. Try and make sure we're not getting any brush frays. We definitely want to be hitting that thumb. Those fingers that are on show. These want to be very bright. These want to be really caught by the light. any really heightened areas of muscle. Sticky outy bits of skin. Tops of ears. So now we want the very bridge of the nose. You want to grab those cheekbones without touching the dark rings around the eyes. We're going to grab the center of the forehead, the top corners of the forehead, and then we're going to work our way on things like the brows. And we're going to see which bits the lights are hitting and try and just paint those areas. I'm leaving areas like the temples where they're slightly recessed, sides of the nose. We are trying to get those brows before we add any eyebrows on there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add some white to this and go even lighter. I've got an area of neck there that's on show. I want to get the highest points of that. So, let's have a look at the eyes and the face so far. We're starting to see tonal differences between the areas of flesh. Especially towards the top of that forehead and what's hopefully going to be things like the top of the forearm where he's holding his 45 out. So we're going to take some white. We're going to put it right next to it but not straight in it. Small little blob. We have a tiny bit of water. I'm just going to blend those two. And I'm actually going to pull the skin tone into the white to begin with. Because even that is a lot of white. I mean, that is more white than I needed. So now I'm going to take some of that out and then go there. So this should really lighten up that key slave flesh. I'm going to take a bit more water. Just going to thin that bit down over here because this does want to be quite thin. We again want that milk consistency, but maybe even a little thinner. I'm still using the artificer. That's too much. That amount of paint there that you can barely see. There. That's too much. So I'm going to go down to my wet tissue. Just going to take the end of that off. I'm going to find the tip of his nose. Then I'm going to clear that off and take away any excess. Go back in. I'm going to reload the brush. Make sure we take any excess water off there. And this is where we can be a bit abstract. This can be like where the light's hitting and you can get some strange shapes or just the very tips of things. And this, I find, really, really makes a difference to how people view your mini skin. And that with the dark rings around the eye should really add some depth. I'm mostly going to be applying this to like one corner, one side of the face, so that it looks like the light is coming from a set area. If you need to do more on the nose, you can use the side of the brush. To pull that across. Hopefully. So against my skin, it obviously looks quite dark, but that top corner there is the kind of lighting effect you want, so that when it's away from something that is flesh colored, whoop, 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 there it is. Let's try and get that in focus. Come on. Oh, we're going to have to use a bit of paper or something. Oh, the technology. There we go. And that white in that top corner that's been added to some of that flesh tones, it's going to give you that different look. We now need to do that across the tops of any muscles, anywhere that we really want to define where the light is hitting on the skin. So, tips of fingers, like nail areas, knuckles. We then want to jump onto those muscles. He's got this big pop-in vein on his shoulder. We're going to hit that. I'm going to need to keep loading the brush up, because the amount that we put on is so minute that it should be used up or dry in no time at all. At the tops of the bicep and the area underneath the shirt arm. This whole ridge down the front of the forearm. There's a small line on the neck. We've got the tip of that ear. And if you need to, you can go back in underneath from the underside with one of those previous colours. And then just start blending it back in. But I don't think we're going to need to today for Barry. I think this is going to be tabletop ready pretty soon, actually. As long as we've got the flesh out of the way and the eyes are done, I'm not too worried about the rest of it. So, in terms of flesh, we've now got those top bits are looking very, very bright. Still a bit wet on the arms, but elbows, we need to get the back of the other arm actually. Just down here a bit better, because there's a nice big line there that would be hitting the light. There we go, down towards the elbow. So now, that bit is done, I can probably work on the rest of the gloves and... Ooh, I've actually missed a bit on that hand. Ooh! It's missing some of his fingers. Bad drills, Ian. Bad drills! Just on the underside there. Up to those knuckles. Luckily, I can paint those on. So, let's grab... Let's finish that shirt off. Let's have some of our water, and then we'll do the undershirt, then we'll do the tack vest as well. Right. We're going to use a mix of skeleton bone and white. And this is going to make up a sort of dirty, creamy colour that is the colour of his shirt in this picture. Just on that one there. So that's what we're going to go with. Already got some white in there, so a little dollop of that there. Grab some of our water. I'm just going to start mixing them together and hope that the white overpowers the skeleton bone. Yeah, that's perfect. So that playlist is that done? It's done. Okay, let's have a look. Let's go with D&D Combat. See what's in this one at the moment. All right, I'm going to clean off our mixing brush. Hopefully, I haven't thinned this down too much, but I guess we will find out. And we can do little pulls just like the muscles and leave that necrotic flesh underneath if we need to. Because we did want it to look somewhat grimy. We certainly want to leave the stars badge alone. That's the sort of colour we're going to be getting on that sleeve compared to the other one. In all fairness, with how thin that is, I probably don't need to go any further, really. It's going to work really well with the undercoat that we did. So hopefully, we'll have this nice sort of dirty-ish shirt. That stars badge on there. So let's grab some bits and bobs to have a look at. We've got those grey trousers. I'm quite simply going to go in with some orc grey and just add some highlights. I don't think I need to do much more than that. And this is going to be tops of any like clove lines, any folds in the cloves, Barris britch, pockets, knees. And again, I want that sort of cartoon highlight effect on these ones. How go the minis, Geeky? How you doing? You winning? So much silver on the power armor. How are you doing that? Because I tend to, I'm not going to lie, cheat when it comes to silver like that. I prime it black and then just dry brush it. Oh, awesome. How are you going to go about rusting it up then? So I'm still finding all of these little lines that stick out on the clothes that we can add highlights to. There's not all that many, and they're really well pronounced, so I will say that for Steamforged Games. They obviously know what they're doing with mini-making, but they've outdone themselves again. Number 1 on the silver, dirty it up, and then trying to use AK Light Rust Wash. Not used it before. Nice! Is that the one that actually pigments and washes, separates apart and stuff, or is that a different one that I'm thinking of? So there's one that looks like crazy like rust. And they do like moss ones and other styles as well. Oh, nice. I will have to check that out. So this is how we're doing the trousers. We're just adding some really, really simple cartoon highlights. And we are going to do the same for that tactical jacket. And then we'll do the same again on the leatherwork. And we're going to do the same again on the gun. And we'll do the same again on the gloves. Keep it nice and simple. And then we only have to do 2 or 3 layers. Thank you so much, Geeky. That's my favourite and preferred way of painting is to sort of layer up in about 3 colours. Base layer, middle layer, and then a highlight. Sometimes I only need 2, sometimes I need 4, but that's essentially the look that I like to go for. Exaggerated highlights. Enough that we know what it is. I'm actually going to use that same grey for the gloves, because let's tie it in, right? Let's accessorise Mr. Barry Burton. I do need to make sure the watch strap, though, is defined. Same with this thumb on the glove. Because this hand is obviously holding a weapon and is also very much on show. I'm going to add the same to that back line on his tactical vest or tactical jacket. It was a bit too wet. I'm almost using the side of the brush here to get those lines. So the gloves should hopefully now start to have some sort of definition. They might require a little white edging here and there as we move our way into the leathers and into the reds. Let's do the red first, shall we? We're going to grab quite a vibrant red, this one. It is pure red from the Army Painter. I need a separate palette because I am now used up on all of those ones. Give that a good shake. Add it to that one just there. I put way too much in that. I don't need that much red. There we go. Well, let's put it there. Let's take on some water. And then we're going to jump back in. I need to water this down a little bit. I don't need to do too much. Just enough that it should come off my paintbrush quite well. But not so much that it runs everywhere. Because once more, we're going to try and do the same thing we did with Vivi the other night, where we're going to start at the top with a high pigment and then feather it down into other areas of the jacket. And then I'm going to use an orange to highlight everything. So you've got this lovely, really thick neckline of armor. It's very easy to follow. We like that a lot. It's very, very exposed shoulders, which again, we like a lot. Certain areas of the back where we can see muscle in certain shapes. So we are going to go over those just like we did with both the muscle tones on the skin and the trouser folds, I guess is the word we're looking for. Base of that jacket is quite on show, so we want to make sure that that is defined a little bit just between the neck and that upper back. That's quite prominent. And again, I'm just finding the highest points on all of these panels that are sticking out and just attacking them with this slightly heavier pigmented red. That's then going to fade down into that red that we used before. Which was the Wazdaka or corn red, I believe it was. My pretty standard go-to when it comes to reds. So it should begin to look quite a bit more vibrant. Especially towards the top where the shoulders are. We've applied way more red up there than we have anywhere else. Especially to the shoulder with the gun, because that one is way more exposed. But we're leaving those deeper red bits inside those folds. I find red a bit easier to work with than some other colours. It's going to be interesting going through. Oh, have I missed something? With the old lead alloy minis, we used to paint armor black, then scrape the black off gently to show the natural metal. Yeah, that's very, very cool. Absalom, I've seen somebody do that with the bolters on Warhammer stuff from like the original stuff and the Katachan weapons. That was really cool. I also really like there is a technique where people, I think they sponge on oil. So they paint their mini, they then lag it in an oil paint, and they take a cotton bud and just streak it back down, and it just takes it all off the highest points and sets it into the recesses, and it's like, whoa. I'm not ballsy enough to try that yet, nor do I have the technology. But it is very, very cool. The next time I see one of those videos on Instagram, I'll share it with you. I've seen a lot of people recently doing stuff with sponges as well. Instead of dry brushing, they're sponging on so much paint, and that interests me a lot. So what I'm doing now is I'm doubling up the pigment on the gun side of things. So on that area of Barry where that light is going to be hitting the most, so that we get a fade going from one side of that flak jacket to the other, where the light would be hitting it. And it just strengthens that red in areas before we go in with our final highlight, which is going to be an orange. There's a lovely belt around the center as well. That's going to be a bit brighter. Except on that side. And this is the same thing that I would do to get lightsaber glow, essentially. This is shading up so that you end up with that fade from the light red up on this side to the dark red down on this corner. It's going to be a lot more eye-catching for players that way. To be like, whoa! Which is what we want from the Mini. And it's got the most striking colour on it. That red is going to be drawing the eye as it is anyway. That and the gun. But we're getting there. Very happy with that red. So, let's crack on then. Very weird taking off 2 sets of glasses. Wow! Scratch of the arm. Drink of the drink. And let's continue our work with Barry Burton. So, next on the agenda. Let's grab some... Let's have a look at those shoelaces on the picture, because he's got black laces on, but it's hard to work out how I want to highlight those. See, the highlight's behind them, really, on the brown bit, and then they use black as the laces. I'm going to have to go in with a grey, I think, and same as the trousers, just try and make them somewhat more prominent. I could go in with a white and be a juxtaposition to the black. I could go in with a brown, but let's try a really thin white. Let's do it. Let's try something new. Let's grab some. This is Vallejo Airbrush White. And it's super, super thin. And then I'm going to take some water and I'm going to water it down further. Woodfie! Hey, Jack. How you doing, everybody? Benillo! Hello. Everybody meet Woodfie and Benillo. Woodfie is my friend Jack, who will be taking part in the Starfinder campaign, even if he says no. He is one of my dearest friends and is nothing but a meme to me now. And I'm glad to hear you're all good. Everyone needs to go check out his channel. He streams usually on a Tuesday and a Thursday. And he's my friend, not yours. I'm just saying no. I have pictures of all my friends and I send them memes of themselves. That's what I do. But he streams RPG games. Jack, I mean, if you want to put links into your channel, feel free. We're very open here to do that. Benillo also comes on and does games with Jack and is really cool. Benillo is Jack's moderator. Lovely, lovely people and part of an amazing community. Guys, it's Sunday night and you've got work tomorrow. What are you doing? Oh, I'm playing in Starfinder? You better be. You're mine, you know. Right. We're taking this really thin white, and I'm gonna up the magnification, guys. We're gonna enhance to the max. Enhance to the max. Whoop. So we're gonna come in, and I'm gonna use the side of the brush. I'm just gonna kiss it. Little tip-taparoo. Oh, and there's Fluff. Saying hi to Jack and Benillo. Sounds like a Ben and Jerry's flavour. Okay, we've gone with the white. And I think that's the right call to make. The trick here is to not let too much of the brush touch these highlights. And we don't want to slip. So I'm trying to support my hand as much as I can. Woodfeet, I am so excited. Like, I've got most of everything for everyone's backstories now. I've been writing, I've been painting, I've been trying to get so much together for it never to see the table and for you guys to go off in a random direction and me not to be prepped for anything. And I cannot wait. I don't know if you've met everybody else yet, Jack, but in the chat right now, we've got Geeky Phoenix, who is a moderator here on the channel. So you'll be hearing a lot more from them in due course. We've got Absalom Dak, who is a friend of ours, who we see over on his channel every now and again and streams video games. We've got the Mist Lounge, who has their own campaign running, 2 of them at the same time, 1 world, 2 timelines. Very, very intense. That's what we're getting on the boots, by the way, for everybody who's watching here for painting. Whoop. Come on, focus up. I want those boots. There we go. There's ever so slight thin white lines with a little bit of a thicker white in the center of those laces where the color would catch. Which means that we can now move on to the leather work. Or actually, as well, we can grab some bits of the gloves with that white. We've also got Lady Jane Lynn, who is a player in that campaign. Dragon School Studios, another moderator for the channel, has disappeared. They have had to go home or away or something for the night. Boo! Boo, my friend Craig. I did this earlier and I missed out a few people, and it's going to happen again. I can't see right now who's in and out. But all in all, we've got a lovely little community. And you guys are going to be seeing a lot more of Jack soon. When are you next streaming, bud? Are you back on Tuesday? Are you guys both back? I don't know if I've not been getting the notifications, but I haven't seen you on for a little bit. We're also going to take that white and we're going to hit that top edge, but only on one side of this back line here at the top, so that we can just add a little light to that area. I'm then going to take some of that white. Oh, we're going to start putting it in the stars, on the stars logo. And what's quite a cheeky technique here is I can fill that with white and then brush the rest away with my thumb. Because it's a recessed hole. Thank you so much, Steamforged Games. Oh, I can also pop it out of the old painty grabby grabs. Whoa! Thank you very much, Jack. We take Prime subs, and we're all for it. Thank you very much. All goes in the kitty. All gets us some more nice terrain, doesn't it? Oh. I haven't streamed for a few weeks. Not going to lie, buddy. Been on holiday and stuff. Yeah, man. I mean, like, oh, damn holidays. Yeah, I had to go on holiday for a little bit from streaming for like 2 weeks, and I was like, what am I... How stream? How do? What happen? Where go? And it was really hard getting back into it. Okay, leatherwork. I'm going to come back in with XV88. There's a reason I'm using this one. It's because it's very tan and it's quite orange. And I really like that exaggerated highlight for minis like this. I'm going to reapply it to this particular palette because we already had some in there. I'm going to water it down, but again, not much. I only need this to be movable but not flowing. Oh, thank you very much. My one this month, I think, went to Mist Lounge. Last month it was Herbalist. I'm trying to like spread it around the community. So if anybody else has got there before Jack, it's all theirs. If not, Woodfee, I'll throw it to you next month. So we've got this really long strap here on the chest. I'm taking a very thin brush. I'm applying it at the top, and I'm just doing a very slow pull down. What I'm after here is just an edge highlight. I don't want to go nuts. I just want it to pop off of that red enough to be defined. We're almost just putting an edge on all of this artwork here that Steamforged Games have done with their mini creating. The actual holster itself for the 45 will get a bit more love, and then we'll get a feather and a blend. Woodfee, how are the sound levels coming through for you, bud? Can you hear music? Is it too loud? Is it too quiet? Obviously, there are peaks and troughs to the volume of the track. And then I'll explain why I'm asking in a second. For those of you that don't know, Jack is also a audio geek like me. Jack, that's playing through the speaker in the room. So we should be able to hear music and have it run through the mics. And obviously my mic's over here. The speaker is over by the computer. And obviously the two shotgun mics are up there. So hopefully, minus when I get really close like this, and I'm all up in your ears, it means that we should be pretty good to not have to have headphones on while we're playing and while we're streaming, and we can just go from there, which is the dream. But the music's actually playing from the computer into the room, or I can do it. Oh, actually, here's a good test. I can also put it straight into OBS. So I'm going to turn that on, which is probably going to... Yeah, it's quite quiet at the moment. It's going to then up the sound levels for you guys, but I want to know if it like doubles up or if it loops. So let's see what happens here with Epidemic. Obviously, if this goes nuts into your ears, I'm really sorry, guys, but it's a good test for me right here. Okay, let me know if that doubles up when the next track kicks in. or if it starts to feedback, or if it sounds awful. Let's put on... There we go. Jack, you should know this track quite well, so I'm going to talk. If you can hear it like slap back or anything like that, let me know. But actually, this is quite perfect to check out with you. But obviously, I've not adjusted the volume since you said that. Defo loud, okay. So if we... Oh, no, let's turn the desktop audio off, that's why. Okay, so I turned off desktop audio because for some reason that was on. And much louder, but sounds good both together. Okay, perfect. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds to catch up. And then what I'm going to do, if it's still loud, let me know. And then I can knock it down a bit more inside OBS. So, gonna talk over the things like this, and I'm just gonna wait to see if people say it's still really, really loud, but there's a 10-second delay. My hearing is far from 100%, but this is too loud. It's still loud as fuck. Okay, cool. If I take this down to here, this is about -40 on the old Epidemic sound. So, it's in the room, and it's coming through OBS at the same time. And what I'm hoping for is a level that means that we can do both, but the people at home are going to get the actual compressed feed and not just what's coming through the speaker in the room as it peaks and troughs, if that makes sense, Jack. And actually, you're waiting for it to kick in. Perfect. That's fine. I'm going to keep chatting. I'm going to keep going. And the same goes for everybody else, because obviously you're all listening on different devices, and this is a massive help to me. So Geeky, Fluffy, Absalom, thank you so much. Because I want to have it in the room so it's not overpowering, but I also want it to be, you know, loud enough that the audience can hear it without us shouting over it. So I'm going to go back to the start of this one then, because it starts off with a decent kick. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's go to there. Right. And then let's see what happens. It's going to build up. I'm going to get there. And I'm going to carry on painting it. It's a good time as well for me to let the Mini dry, as we're talking about, as I'm now away from my microphone with a blurred picture. So, there we go. We're waiting for that red to just fully dry so we can then work on the final highlights in the gun. So, it should be kicking in. 3, 2, 1, go. Nope, still going to build up. How is that for sound, though? Is it seeming all right? Awesome. Thank you, Absalom. Better but not there, Fluffy, or better as in... Yeah, I think it's good levels. Okay, perfect. Awesome. I will leave it there, and I'll leave that playing, and I'm going to carry on. It's only been 2 hours 10. Actually, to say that we've got this Mini mostly done in that time, I'm quite proud of that. It took us 4 hours with Vivi the other day. But that's okay. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my favourite yellow. Iron yellow. Yeah, exactly. We can adjust on the fly. What I'm trying to do is make it so that you and I don't lose our immersion, because it's going to be me and you doing it, with Fluffy basically moderating it and telling us we're shit. Like, in the room, it's actually quite something. So, let's put the yellow in the stars. Nice, 110%. 110%. Okay. Let's grab some Troll Slayer Orange. Now, for the highlights, this seems extreme. So, usually people would go with a brighter red, but actually, I'm going to go with an orange, because this does wonders for what I find for red, and it just adds like a real dynamic that I really like when it comes to mini painting. And I did a Vesk soldier a while back in red power armor, and that was the first time that I tried the technique, was on that mini, and since then, anytime I want something to look really freaking cool, I do that paint job. So again, we're going to thin this one down quite a bit, because we only need the pigment. We don't really need the water. We don't need to push it round too far. We're going to be in corners and anything facing the direction that we've put the light source. So essentially we are OSLing, but without doing the glow. And again, this is too much. That tiny amount at the top of that tip, it's too much. So I'm going to get a bit of wet tissue, and I'm going to take some of that back off again. I'm then going to find those corners. And this is essentially a final highlight for that red. It allows you to get fine lines. It allows you to get direction. And this is thin. It's going to be very, very transparent, but it should be just enough to glaze and shade those top areas and just add a hue to that red that's going to make it really pop. So that there is too much. So I'm just going to take some water. I'm just going to feather it out. Just thin it down and glaze over the top of that shoulder. And then we're pretty much done. We just need to do the gun after that. Barry's 45. A little bit on the back that we need to do, but we're not focusing too heavily on the back because the light source is coming from the front. A couple of areas that could do with a stronger bit of orange, but that's it, really. One of those is across the chest, the shoulder, and a tiny bit on the side. Again, this is a fantastic way of doing OSL and finding colors like yellow and orange to like maximize the effect of your base color. And whereas I use orange for red, I tend to use yellow for green rather than white. And I find that that really, really works. So, while this is still a little wet, it's going to look a bit brighter, but what I will do is show you that jacket. The orange should sit just over the red enough that it highlights the red more than anything else. And we should have that directional fade from shoulder with the gun up down to the bottom right where the bottom of that flak jacket is dark. The back again, you can see it quite prominent on the shoulder there, so I need to do a bit more work just to feather that in. But for a tabletop ready mini, minus doing the gun, we are almost there. I need to finish off the Stars logo there as well. And all I need to do for that is just paint in some of the black back onto it. And I'm actually going to dry brush that on, and I will probably do that now, actually, while I'm thinking about it. And then we're going to do the gun, and that's it. Barry's done. About 2.5 hours total when we get to the end of the stream, I reckon. And then maybe some point this week, maybe, we can sit here and we can paint up Cloud, Sephiroth, or Barrett that we got from Master of Miniatures, which are just awesome. And I get to paint Final Fantasy stuff or Resident Evil stuff, and I'm really excited about it. So let's grab a dry brush. We're going to keep our thick goggles on because this is quite minute. I need a very directional dry brush. So a lot of the sides are going to be used for this. The best I've got, it's quite thick, is this one here, and it is a line. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's going to be quite flat against it, and we are quite literally, if I can show you, let's grab our camera and we'll give that a move so that you guys can see what's going on here. So I've loaded up the paintbrush with quite a thick amount of paint. I'm going to take most of that off first up here. I'm then going to go backwards and forwards so that we have a really thin amount of grey or black showing. I'm then going to very, very flatly try and dry brush with the side of this flat brush over that stars logo. And hopefully what will happen is it won't go into those recesses where the yellow stars are. However, this is mini painting, and also those stars are tiny, so if there's mold issues or if there's anything else, it's going to show up now. So we're going to have to go back in and get some more of that. It's not perfect. It'll certainly do for now. I will edge that with a white because I believe there's white stitching all around the stars emblems, but I can't quite see it on Barry's just there. So let's grab. We've still got white in there, and I need a minute brush, so we need our super thin one. Which is around yay big. Really, really small compared to a finger. Couple of hairs. And again, that's too much. So we're going to take some of that off on the wet tissue so that we don't take too much moisture out of it or too much pigment out of it. And it doesn't dry out the bristles. I'm going to try and follow the edge this emblem so that it's really, really pronounced, as that's one of the main things that depicts a member of the stars units. What I realised I should have done is taken a time lapse of what I'm doing here today, but I didn't. So although the inside of the badge is actually quite messy, now with that white around the edges, it just gives us a separate item on the mini. So we have that one there, and we're going to get the gun. He's got a silver 45. So we're going to start with Dwarven Iron. We're going to thin it down. We're going to apply it to the top. And then we're going to take some shining silver, paint the highlights, make sure the base is blacked, and then Barry is ready. So I can get rid of my max magnification. We can dehance and go back down to 1.5. And put those ones on and look real sexy. Right, let's thin down our silver. I could also use lead belcher, actually might be better first. So I'm going to water this one quite far down so it's got time to sit here in this warm room. And actually, I think I am going to use lead belcher first. It's really dark. Yeah, so this is a darker silver. Let's use that one there. So, don't need much, but I do need it watered down. Let's grab our lead belcher there. I'm not going to take any off, and I'm going to follow big areas of the gun, but I'm going to leave any deeper recesses black, so that we have that natural shading and that cartoon style without having to use a wash. And then we'll highlight it up with our Dwarven Iron and our Shining Silver to really make it pop and reflect, because Barry's gun is quite clean and shines in the game and in both the pictures that I've got of him. Oh, there's too much paint on there. I'm going to take some of that off, and then we're going to apply the line down here. We've got the top edges up here. That can all be solid lead belcher, as it is quite an easy area for the light to get to. So that's the start of it. Very basic silvers on there. Whoop. That's all it needs to be to begin with. Make sure we get the muzzle. And then I'm going to give it a little just to dry it off. So with the direction of light coming from the front of where the gun is, we're going to take our Dwarven Iron and paint about half to 3/4 of the way down, pushing that pigment down towards that way, and then topping it up where needs be. So we're almost getting a fade of silver from front to back. I'm going to do the same on the top. Just blending that one in. Same down this side. You can even use the side of the brush if you need to, just to control it better and stop it from going into those recesses. Then we will take our final silver. That's all still wet at the moment. We've got Shining Silver from the Army Painter. Oh, look how much I put on there. Way too much for the piss poor amount that I need. So I'm going to take some water next to it and just pull some of that into the water, and feel ashamed of myself for having wasted so much of my favourite silver. So, using that wet tissue to pull back, then right at the front at that top edge, anywhere that really stands out, anywhere that needs that extra line detail, on the whole front edge, top of the chamber, and we want the hammer of the 45, which is down, so it makes it a lot easier to paint. There is a little arch just above the brown wooden handle, and there is a tiny chamber wheel pivot right at the front of that chamber wheel on most 6-shooters. That is the 45 done. I realise I haven't done his watch, so we may as well hit that up with some silvers. While we're here, we're going to do silver all over the main face. We're then going to hit the top half with That dwarven iron, and the very, very top edge. With that shining silver. We're going to blow on that, and then we're going to grab a blue contrast, put it onto the face, and that's that. I'm not going to go any further than that because I don't need to. I will just end up fucking it up. So, let's grab that blue. There it is. Barry Burton, I believe, is finished. Let's show you how he looks. So actually, let's grab a bit of white tissue to put behind it. So, for just shy of 2.5 hours, we've got a decent amount of flesh tones. We've got someone who doesn't know how camera angle works. There we go. We've got that red fade on the front, which is what we were after. Come on, focus up. There it is. Got the gun. We've got those trousers. Let's see if we can get closer in on it. The beard was hard, as were the eyes. I don't know if I can get that close in on the eyes, but I'm pretty happy that I could throw that down now on the table. So I think I will get some pictures of that, stick them up on Instagram tonight before I go to bed. Looking perfect to pop some zombie skulls. Geeky man, you gotta come down. We gotta do like a 2-week campaign, just sitting at the table, throwing some umbrella dice around. Woodfeet can take the time off work, and we'll just play some res on Barry Burton. To which end, I won't play as Barry. No. I'll be playing as Rebecca Chambers in Team Medic. Fuck yeah. Always need a cleric in the party. Guys, thank you so much for coming along. I've had such an awesome night. Thank you everybody in chat, those who've jumped in, jumped out, those who are new to the show tonight, those who have been here for as long as we've been streaming, and those who are always here to support me, and hopefully I can be here to support you. Guys, I love you all so very much. I hope you have a fantastic week. We're back tomorrow for some dice making. We'll do some Dice Masters. We will do painting up the monster manual on Thursday for the Bugbears. Richard's going to be DMing it. We're on Goblinoids. He's DMing the goblins. So I get to be the player. We're not back on Friday night with Band of Badgers for Dragonlance because people are away. Other than that, I will come in throughout the week with loads of hopefully miniature painting and dice making this week. Miss Lounge, off to my stream in an hour. Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. Go check out the Miss Lounge. I need to go catch up. Dude, I'm going to work on catching up on that this week. Guys, may the dice gods be ever in your favor. We'll see you real soon. Take it easy.